Let me tell you something very important, something most people misunderstand when it comes to changing their life. We believe that one fine morning we will wake up full of energy, full of fire, full of motivation, and then everything will fall into place. We are waiting for that magical feeling. But let me ask you honestly, how long has that feeling lasted in your life? 1 day, 2 days, sometimes not even till the evening. Motivation is like a guest who comes unannounced, stays for a short time, eats your snacks, and then disappears without telling you when they'll come back. And we keep planning our life around that guest. That's where the problem begins. Most people don't fail because they are lazy. They fail because they depend too much on motivation. Motivation is emotional, and emotions are unstable. Some days you feel inspired, some days you feel tired, some days you feel low, some days you feel confident. If your growth depends on how you feel, then your growth will always be inconsistent. That is why real change never comes from motivation. Real change comes from structure. Structure means you decide in advance what you will do regardless of how you feel. You don't ask yourself, do I feel like doing it today? You ask yourself, what is the system I've committed to? When you follow a structure, you remove decision making from your emotions. And that is powerful. Think about your daily life. You brush your teeth even when you don't feel like it. You go to work even when you're not motivated. You follow traffic rules even when you're in a hurry. Why? Because there is a system. There is structure. You don't wait for motivation to brush your teeth because you understand the consequence of not doing it. In the same way, personal growth also needs a system, not a mood. The problem is we treat our dreams casually. We say, if I feel motivated, I'll study. If I feel inspired, I'll exercise. If I feel positive, I'll meditate. And then we wonder why nothing changes. Dreams don't require emotions, they require discipline. And discipline is nothing but a well-designed structure followed daily. Let me simplify this for you. Structure is not about doing big things. Structure is about deciding small non-negotiables. For example, instead of saying, I will completely change my life, say, for the next 15 days, I will wake up at the same time every day. That's structure. Instead of saying, I will become very fit, say, for the next 15 days, I will walk for 20 minutes daily. That's structure. Small, clear, repeatable actions. When your actions are clear, your mind becomes calm. Confusion drains energy. Clarity builds momentum. Structure creates clarity. Many people fear structure because they think it will make life boring. But let me tell you the truth. Lack of structure creates chaos, and chaos is exhausting. Structure actually gives freedom. When you know what you need to do, you stop wasting energy on overthinking. You stop negotiating with yourself. You simply act. And here is something very beautiful about structure. Structure builds self-trust. Every time you follow a system, you are telling yourself, I can rely on me. Slowly, quietly, your confidence starts increasing. Not because someone praised you, but because you kept your word to yourself. Motivation gives you a temporary high. Structure gives you permanent strength. You don't need to feel confident to act. You act and confidence follows. You don't need to feel disciplined to follow a system. You follow the system and discipline develops. This is how inner transformation actually happens. from the outside in, let me share something very practical. On the days you feel low, structure will carry you. On the days you feel energetic, structure will control you. Both are equally important. Without structure, low days pull you down and high days burn you out. Structure keeps you balanced. Life is not changed by one emotional decision. Life is changed by daily boring actions done consistently. Nobody claps for those actions. Nobody posts them on social media. But those actions quietly shape your future. So if you truly want to change your life in 15 days, stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for motivation to arrive. Instead, create a simple structure and follow it sincerely, even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. Because motivation may start the journey, but only structure can finish it. Let me talk to you about something very simple, yet extremely powerful: your morning. Most people don't realize this, but the way you start your day is often the way you start your life. We think destiny is decided by big events, by luck, by opportunities. But in reality, destiny is shaped quietly every single morning before the world even notices you're awake. Ask yourself honestly, how do most of us begin our day? With an alarm that we hate, a phone that we grab immediately, and a mind that is already tired before the day has even started. Before our feet touch the floor, our mind has already checked messages, compared lives, consumed news, worries, and noise. And then we say, I don't know why I feel stressed all the time. You didn't wake up stressed. You trained your morning to stress you. The mind is most impressionable in the first hour after waking up. Whatever you feed it during that time becomes the tone of your entire day. If the first input is chaos, the output will be confusion. If the first input is calm, the output will be clarity. Think of your mind like fresh soil in the morning. Whatever seeds you plant at that time will grow throughout the day. If you plant anxiety, urgency, and comparison, don't be surprised when your day feels heavy. But if you plant silence, intention, and gratitude, the day responds differently. Many people tell me, I don't have time in the morning. Let me tell you something honestly. It's not about time, it's about priority. You have time to scroll, time to worry, time to rush. What you mean is, you haven't decided that your inner peace matters. Your morning routine is not about becoming spiritual or perfect. It's about becoming conscious. It's about deciding that for a few moments, your life will not be controlled by the outside world. When you wake up and immediately check your phone, you are allowing other people's priorities to decide your emotions. Someone's message decides your mood. Someone's post decides your self-worth. Someone's news decides your fear. And then we wonder why we feel powerless. A powerful morning does not need to be complicated. It needs to be intentional. Even 5 to 10 minutes of silence can completely change the quality of your day. Sitting quietly, taking a few deep breaths, reminding yourself what truly matters. This is not a luxury. This is mental hygiene. Your morning decides whether you react to life or respond to life. When the day begins in a rush, you react to everything: traffic, people, problems. When the day begins in calmness, you respond with maturity. Same situations, different inner state. Let me tell you something important. Successful people don't have fewer problems. They have better mornings. Morning discipline creates emotional stability. And emotional stability creates better decisions. Better decisions, repeated daily, create a better life. This is how destiny is actually built, not dramatically, but quietly. Another mistake we make is trying to change everything at once. We say, from tomorrow, I'll wake up at 5 a.m., meditate for 1 hour, exercise, read, journal, and eat healthy. And after 2 days, we give up and blame ourselves. The goal is not to wake up early. The goal is to wake up wisely. If you wake up at 8 a.m., but spend the first 15 minutes peacefully, that is far better than waking up at 5 a.m. and spending the first hour in panic and pressure. Quality matters more than timing. Your morning should answer one simple question: who is in control today? Me or my mind? If your mind controls you, the day controls you. If you control your mind, the day listens to you. What you do every morning is a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. When you choose calm over chaos, you are choosing clarity over confusion. When you choose discipline over distraction, you are choosing growth over comfort. And here's the most beautiful part: mornings don't judge you for yesterday. No matter how bad your past was, every morning gives you a fresh start. But most of us waste that gift by repeating the same unconscious patterns. If you truly want to change your life in 15 days, don't start by changing your whole life. Start by protecting your morning. Even a small improvement there will create a ripple effect throughout the day. Your thoughts will improve, your reactions will soften, your focus will sharpen. Remember this: you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your daily routines. And your most important routine begins when you wake up. Change your morning, and slowly, silently, your destiny will begin to change with it. Let me speak about something that quietly shapes your life every single day, often without your permission: what you consume mentally. We are very careful about what we eat physically. We check calories, ingredients, hygiene. But when it comes to the mind, we allow anything and everything to enter. And then we wonder why we feel restless, negative, distracted, and exhausted. Your mind is not tired because you are doing too much. Your mind is tired because you are consuming too much. From the moment you wake up till the moment you sleep, your mind is constantly taking in information. Conversations, social media, news, videos, opinions, complaints, comparisons. The mind does not have a filter by default. It absorbs whatever you expose it to. And over time, it starts believing that this is reality. If you constantly consume negativity, your mind starts expecting negativity. If you constantly consume fear, your mind starts living in fear. If you constantly consume comparison, your mind starts feeling inadequate. This is not weakness. This is conditioning. Many people say, I don't know why I overthink so much. Overthinking is not a habit. It is a side effect of mental overload. When the mind receives too much unnecessary input, it has no space to rest. And a tired mind creates imaginary problems. Let me give you a simple example. If you keep watching content where people are fighting, cheating, failing, or showing fake success, slowly your mind starts believing that life is unsafe, unfair, and competitive. Then even when nothing is wrong, you feel uneasy. You feel something bad is about to happen. That's not intuition, that's mental pollution. We live in a world where negativity is easily available and positivity requires effort. Bad news spreads faster than good news. Drama gets more attention than wisdom. And without realizing it, we start feeding our mind junk. Just like junk food tastes good but damages the body, junk content feels entertaining but damages the mind. It doesn't show immediate symptoms. The damage is slow. You lose focus, you lose patience, you lose peace. And then one day you say, I don't recognize myself anymore. Your thoughts are not random. They are reflections of what you consume repeatedly. If your inner dialogue is harsh, anxious, or hopeless, it's time to check your mental diet, not your self-worth. Another dangerous thing we consume is other people's opinions. Everyone has something to say about how you should live, what you should do, how successful you should be by a certain age. When you consume too many opinions, you lose your own voice. You stop listening to your values and start chasing validation. Mental consumption also includes the people you spend time with. Conversations filled with gossip, complaining, and negativity drain you more than physical work. Energy is contagious. If you sit with people who constantly see problems, your mind learns to see problems. If you sit with people who seek solutions, your mind expands. Let me be very clear. This is not about avoiding reality or living in denial. This is about choosing awareness over addiction. Being informed is different from being obsessed. Knowing what's happening is different from drowning in it. You don't need to know everything. You need to know what helps you grow. A powerful life requires a disciplined mind, and a disciplined mind begins with conscious consumption. You don't need to quit social media. You need to quit mindless scrolling. You don't need to avoid news. You need to limit exposure. You don't need to stop talking to people. You need to stop absorbing their negativity. Start asking yourself simple questions. Does this content make me calmer or more anxious? Does this conversation inspire me or drain me? Does this information help me grow or just keep me entertained? Your answers will guide your choices. The mind becomes what it repeatedly sees. If you want a peaceful mind, feed it peaceful inputs. If you want a focused mind, feed it meaningful content. If you want a strong mind, feed it wisdom, not noise. Silence is also a form of mental nutrition. In silence, the mind heals. In silence, clarity emerges. But silence feels uncomfortable to a mind addicted to stimulation. That discomfort is not a problem. That discomfort is withdrawal. And here is the truth. Nobody else is responsible for what enters your mind. You may not control the world, but you control your exposure to it. Every time you choose to consume something uplifting instead of something toxic, you are choosing your future. If you want to change your life in 15 days, start by cleaning your mental environment. You will be surprised how much lighter you feel, how much clearer you think, how much calmer you respond. Because when the mind is nourished properly, life naturally begins to improve. Let me share a truth that is simple but not easy to accept. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is self-respect in action. Most people see discipline as force, control, or restriction. They think discipline means living a boring life, denying yourself happiness, or becoming rigid. But real discipline is none of that. Real discipline is how you show yourself that you matter. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, something powerful happens inside you, even if nobody claps, even if nobody notices. Your inner voice changes. You start trusting yourself a little more. And self-trust is the foundation of confidence. Without it, no amount of motivation, talent, or success will feel enough. Let me ask you something honestly. How many promises have you made to yourself and quietly broken? I'll start tomorrow. I'll be consistent. This time I won't quit. And when we don't follow through, we don't just lose progress, we lose respect for ourselves. Slowly, unconsciously, we start believing that our words don't matter. That's why discipline is not about perfection. It's about integrity. Integrity with yourself. People with discipline are not stronger than you. They are not more talented. They have simply decided that their future is more important than their comfort. They understand that every small act of discipline is a vote for the person they want to become. Discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want now. When you wake up early, even when you feel lazy, you are telling yourself, I care about my growth. When you stop scrolling and start working, you are saying, my goals deserve my attention. When you eat well, exercise, or sit quietly with your thoughts, you are practicing self-respect. And here's something very important. Discipline grows through small wins, not heroic efforts. You don't suddenly become disciplined by changing everything overnight. You become disciplined by doing small things consistently, especially on the days you don't feel like it. Many people wait to feel confident before acting, but confidence is not the starting point. Confidence is the byproduct of discipline. When you repeatedly do what you said you would do, your mind starts believing in you, and that belief changes how you walk, talk, and decide. Let me say this clearly. Self-love is not doing what feels good all the time. Self-love is doing what is good for you, even when it feels uncomfortable. A parent who truly loves a child does not allow the child to eat sweets all day. In the same way, discipline is how you parent your own mind. Without discipline, life feels out of control. You feel reactive. You feel scattered. You feel guilty at the end of the day. With discipline, life feels grounded. Even when things go wrong, you feel stable inside. Discipline is also deeply connected to freedom. This might sound strange, but the more disciplined you are, the more free you become. When you control your habits don't control you. When you control your impulses don't control your future. Think about it. If you cannot control your time, someone else will. If you cannot control your desires, they will control you. Discipline puts you back in the driver's seat. Another misunderstanding is that discipline kills joy. The truth is, discipline creates deeper joy. The joy of progress, the joy of growth, the joy of knowing that you didn't give up on yourself. Temporary pleasure fades quickly. Self-respect stays. Discipline also protects you on your worst days. On days when motivation is low, emotions are heavy, and life feels overwhelming, discipline acts like a safety net. You don't have to think. You just follow the routine. And that routine carries you forward. This is why discipline is more reliable than motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline stays. If you truly want to change your life in 15 days, don't focus on becoming extraordinary. Focus on becoming reliable to yourself. Decide 1 or 2 small commitments and honor them daily. Even when nobody is watching, especially when nobody is watching, because at the end of the day, the relationship you have with yourself determines the quality of your life, and discipline is the language of self-respect. When you respect yourself, life responds differently. Let me tell you why so many people quit halfway. Not because they are incapable, but because they are chasing the wrong idea. We have been taught to believe that if we cannot do something perfectly, then it is not worth doing at all. This thinking has silently destroyed more dreams than failure ever could. Perfection looks attractive. It feels safe. It feels respectable. But perfection is also intimidating. When the mind hears, do it perfectly, it panics. It overthinks. It delays. And then it gives up before even starting. That is why perfection does not lead to progress. It leads to paralysis. Progress, on the other hand, is humble. It doesn't demand greatness on day one. It only asks for honesty and consistency. Most people don't fail because they do the wrong things. They fail because they stop doing the right things too soon. They expect visible results immediately. And when results don't appear, they assume they are doing something wrong. But growth doesn't work like that. Let me explain this simply. When you plant a seed, you don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You water it, you wait, you trust the process. But in life, we water the seed for 2 days, see no result, and then declare the seed useless. Progress is happening even when you cannot see it. Small improvements may feel insignificant, but they are powerful because they are sustainable. A 1% improvement every day doesn't feel exciting, but over time, it changes everything. The problem is, our ego wants dramatic transformation. Our life needs steady evolution. Perfection makes you impatient. Progress makes you resilient. Think about learning anything new. Walking, talking, riding a bicycle. You didn't do it perfectly on the first day. You fell, you stumbled, you looked awkward. But you kept going. Somewhere along the way, you improved. Not because you were perfect, but because you were persistent. As adults, we forget this. We expect ourselves to be flawless immediately. And when we aren't, we judge ourselves harshly. That self-judgment drains energy. Progress requires compassion. You grow faster when you are kind to yourself. Another danger of perfection is comparison. When you chase perfection, you constantly compare your beginning to someone else's middle. You look at people who have been consistent for years and expect yourself to match them in days. That comparison steals joy and confidence. Progress only compares you to who you were yesterday. Nothing else matters. Let me say something very important. Consistency does not mean intensity. You don't need to push yourself to exhaustion. You need to show up regularly. A short walk done daily is better than an intense workout done once a month. A few pages read daily are better than one unfinished book. Small actions repeated become habits. Habits shape identity. Perfection demands everything at once. Progress builds step by step. People often say, once I have more time, I'll do it properly. But life rarely gives you perfect conditions. Waiting for the perfect time is another form of procrastination. The perfect time is when you start imperfectly. Even showing up at 30% effort is better than not showing up at all. That 30% keeps the habit alive, and a living habit can grow. A dead habit cannot. Progress also teaches patience. It reminds you that meaningful change takes time, not because you are slow, but because you are human, and humans grow layer by layer, not overnight. There will be days when you miss a routine. Days when you feel lazy, days when you feel behind. Perfection says you failed, quit. Progress says you paused, continue. That difference decides everything. Let me tell you something comforting. You don't need to be extraordinary to succeed. You need to be consistent. You don't need massive talent. You need daily effort. You don't need flawless execution. You need honest repetition. When you focus on progress, you stop fearing mistakes. Mistakes become feedback, not failure. And that mindset makes growth enjoyable instead of stressful. If you truly want to change your life in 15 days, don't aim to become a new person. Aim to become a slightly better version of yourself each day. Some days you will do more, some days less. But don't stop. Because progress, no matter how small, is still progress. And progress, when sustained, becomes transformation. Perfection looks good in theory. Progress works in real life.